What is up? On today's show, I'm going to be joined by Tom Z of the Lakers Exceptionalism Podcast to discuss NBA free agency with a culinary twist. And at the end of the episode, I'm doing Nick's picks. I was 2-0 last week, so be sure to be taking notes this week. But first, I want to talk about Wonder Woman 84. Last week, Warner Brothers announced that Wonder Woman 84 would be coming to theaters and the streaming platform HBO Max simultaneously on December 25th. To recap how we got here, the film had originally been scheduled to come out in November of 2019. In October of 2018, they pushed the release date back to June 2020. But after the pandemic began, Warner Brothers tried pushing back the release date a few times. So, what's the big deal? For a little bit of context here, the two other big budget films that were released this year post-pandemic are Trolls World Tour and Mulan. The budget for Trolls was $100 million. And so the rule of thumb in the film industry is you just double the budget to include advertising and promotion to know the total cost. So we're looking at $200 million here for Trolls. They went with simultaneously releasing the film in theaters and a limited release and PVOD. So they had paid video on demand. They charged $19.99 per rental. And by August of this year, IndieWire estimated that they had made roughly $150 million from those rentals, and they had made $50 million from traditional theaters. So it appears that they managed to break even, but this, isn't necessarily a sustainable business model. Mulan, on the other hand, had a budget of $200 million, so double that to get $400. It released simultaneously in theaters and PVOD with a twist. It would cost $29.99 for a premiere pass for the film, and that would be exclusively on Disney+. The difference between a premiere pass and the traditional PVOD films being the film would permanently stay on your Disney+ account, as opposed to the usual 48-hour rental viewing window. Mulan grossed $70 million in conventional box office sales, and it's tough to say how well they've done with their PVOD sales. I was having a tough time finding some numbers, but during the first week, roughly 25% of Disney Plus customers bought the premiere pass for Mulan, so it's probably safe to say that they've come close to, if not already broken even, or made a small profit, but not a sustainable business model. So again, what is the big deal here? So while simultaneously releasing in theaters and on digital like the other films, Wonder Woman 84 won't charge HBO Max subscribers additionally to watch the film. It will be streamable like any other film on their service. I think that Warner Brothers and HBO are counting on the subscriber bump to justify this release strategy. They are pouring millions of dollars into Zack Snyder's Justice League miniseries, so they have a big stake in the DCEU being successful, and they want people to be drawn to the streaming platform probably before Zack Snyder's Justice League drops. So what does this mean for the film industry at large? It's tough to say if one of these models specifically will become the industry standard, but it clearly shows that studios are being forced to change and that the old model is extinct. I personally love going to the theater to watch films, and I don't want that experience to go away, but I do think that theaters are going to have to get more creative. My suggestion to them would be to start showing more old films. Living here in LA, I've been lucky enough to see lots of classic films in the theater, and some of those times were my very first time viewing the film. And there's something unreplicable about the theater experience. You could make it worth holding off watching a film on a streaming service until it came back to theaters again. Parents could take their kids to films in a theater that they themselves saw in a theater, and it could be this generational experience as opposed to just showing them, but taking them to see it on the big screen the way that you saw it. I don't know. That's what I would do domestically here in the US. Theaters need to find a way to survive without these massive tentpole films like Wonder Woman 84. With that being said, though, I am excited to finally get to see Wonder Woman 84 here next month. And I do hope the film industry finds a way to survive the winds of change. Okay, up next, Tom Z. But first, a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Mammoth Cooler. Mammoth Cooler makes professional-grade coolers, drinkware, and more. They are ready for anything from a day at the beach to an extended camping trip and everything in between. Mammoth Icebergs are stainless steel reusable drink chillers. Think of them like space-age ice cubes. Built with 18-8 kitchen-grade stainless steel and insulated with high-tech thermal gel, they will keep your drink cold up to 2+ hours on a single freeze. The best part is the icebergs won't water down your drink and are completely reusable. They make a great holiday gift this season, if I do say so myself. All Mammoth products are backed by a lifetime warranty and shipped to the 48 continental United States. Visit www.mammothcooler.com. That's MAMMOTHCOOLER.com to order and use the offer code Begonia FM, all one word, at checkout to get 10% off your order. Make sure to use that code to let Mammoth know you came from us. Thanks to Mammoth for sponsoring this episode and all of Begonia FM. All right, joining me now on the line, he's one half of the Lakers Exceptionalism podcast, and he recently celebrated his birthday with the return of the Lakers' 2007 48th overall pick, Marc Gasol. Tom Z, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you for the shout out and the birthday wishes. It was nice. Yeah, I got my birthday present from the Lakers and Marc Gasol. I was very happy getting that notification pop through from Shams. So, yeah, it was exciting. I'm a big fan of that signing.
That was so thoughtful of Jeannie. Okay, well, I hope you listeners are hungry because Tom and I are going to cover the NBA offseason acquisitions here by comparing them to food. Because why not? Tom, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, food is the most relatable thing on earth, right? Doesn't matter what language you speak, you can enjoy each other's delicious delicacies. And I'm going to start with a little kind of double entendre here, if you will. So I labeled the Gordon Hayward to the Hornets 4 for $120 million deal as the Shake Shack special. And what do I mean by that? Some of you probably been to Shake Shack. It's pretty good. It's not bad. I don't think it's better than In-N-Out. Some might disagree with me, but it's the Shake Shack special because you have to drop like $20 to $25 to get a meal out of that place that you really feel satisfied by, which feels like Gordon Hayward to the Hornets signing to me.
Right. You're not necessarily disappointed with the food,
exactly.
But you do have to spend a lot of money at Shake Shack to get full.
Exactly. That's exactly the spirit of this. I think people are trashing on Gordon Hayward a little too much. He's dealt with some freak injuries, but he's a good player. And at his peak, he is worth this contract, especially to a team like Charlotte, who's, hard to get guys to go to small markets. So again, you might leave a little lighter in the wallet, but you won't leave, unsatisfied. I think he's a good fit for LaMelo, at least.
No, I totally agree there. And Charlotte is one of those franchises that has to overpay because they aren't a marquee franchise. And I think I even saw today that it ended up being a sign and trade, and a couple picks went back and forth, and Boston got a trade exception.
Yeah.
Your Shake Shack meal here for Gordon Hayward, does it include a milkshake?
I mean, If it does, it has to be vanilla.
That's what I was setting you up for. Okay.
Maybe
All
it
right.
comes with a police escort and some like admission to find local cheese shops. If you don't know, this is in reference to Gordon Hayward's wife, commenting that they're leaving Boston, but they're gonna miss the police and her fine cheese shops.
Well, I feel awful for them. Hopefully the $120 million helps make up for the lack of cheese.
That's right.
My first meal item here, and it is an item specifically, is I'm going Thanksgiving Day gravy for the Sixers acquiring Seth Curry. So this is twofold here. Picking the gravy specifically because it's not something that you can just eat by itself. It's a complementary item, and it's going to improve like your franchise dishes, like your turkey, your mashed potatoes, your stuffing, and it's going to really make all those other items pop in a way that they wouldn't without the gravy, but it itself on its own doesn't have a ton of substance to it. The other reason I'm going with Thanksgiving Day gravy is one, it's gravy's day to shine. But also, Thanksgiving is a family day affair. And
wow.
Seth Curry, his father-in-law, is the head coach of the Sixers.
Unbelievable.
There you go.
Shit,
it's a family affair.
I'm floored by the amount of connections you just made there. That's just, I can't disagree. I mean, that's a really, really accurate way of describing what Seth Curry can do to the Sixers offense. I mean, I might ask which one is the cranberry sauce because he doesn't go with that, we'll put that to the side for now, but he will make the mashed potatoes better in Joel Embiid, or he will make the turkey better in Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. Yeah, however you want to put that. I think that was a good trade for Dallas too, for what it's worth. I think that was just a good trade for both teams there.
One of those rare win-win trades. You don't see them a lot in the NBA. Like the George Hill for Kawhi Leonard was touted as a win-win for a few years until Kawhi went supernova.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those, but yeah, this is definitely one of those where Dallas got a need with the defense and the Sixers are going to have more spacing. I didn't realize that Seth is a 44% career three-point shooter.
Yep.
And 3 out of the last 4 seasons, he shot 45% or better.
Something in the Curry blood, man. It's in the genes. They just grown up with the shooting excellence around them for their whole life, and to have a brother that's good at something, it makes you want to be good at that thing too. And so there's a natural, if not healthy, competition there. And he's not Steph Curry, but he is one of the best shooters in the NBA still. I feel like Philly traded away their gravy or let their JJ Redick gravy walk, because he's the same kind of piece that unlocks the rest of the dish in what they were trying to do. So yeah, I think that's an amazing, like, seriously, I'm still very impressed by the whole family thing. Came at me from the blind side, and I'm just like, wow, my next one won't live up nearly as much, but I'll try if you want to go there now.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So this one is in the vein of, all right, you go out to the bar in LA, Nick, when that was still a thing that people could do, and you'd get some drinks. Right. We've done this. And
yeah, we did it together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Downtown LA. You stumble out of bars and you're a little tipsy and you need a little something to munch on, and God bless, there's a bunch of taco trucks, right? Just sitting there grilling it up, ready for you to go. And you can just wander on up. There's no parking needed. There's nothing. It's the perfect drunk taco truck crawl. This is my signing it. It's the right thing at the right time. It's fit, so to speak. And mine was the Jay Crowder to Phoenix on a 3 for $30 deal, because they don't have anyone else on the roster who does what he does. And the physicality, the kind of dog in him we saw in the finals, him, really match up with LeBron. It gives them a little bit more of a dog mentality and just a guy who's been on winning teams before. And
totally,
when shots aren't falling, he can still provide some veteran leadership. I thought that was a great signing for them.
No, I did as well. And it should be known, like, everywhere Jay Crowder goes, that team gets better. he's not necessarily like an all-star, but he makes a difference in the wins and losses column. Like he'll make little plays kind of in a Trevor Ariza like way, where he'll just get a hand on a ball that somebody else might not have, and he'll get you that extra possession that you need. I think it's also pretty apt that it was like a 3 for 30 contract, very economic, like a taco truck. You're not going to break the bank.
Right. Exactly. That's where I was coming from. That, yeah.
When you go to the taco truck, do you get like a Jarritos or anything like to drink specifically when you're going taco trucking? Because I feel like they have such a unique variety of drinks at taco trucks.
I mean, always the horchata. If there's horchata, it's horchata. But I will be happy settling for a Jarrito. Absolutely. I mean, it's perfect. It's the taco trucks out here. You could get, some kind of fusion taco truck. You could get a classic straight up, street tacos, and you can get an al pastor one. Is one of my favorites. They slice the meat right off the spinning meat wheel of deliciousness.
They got the pineapple right on top of it, just soaking in that flavor that's floating up into the air.
It's just the perfect thing you need right in front of you. It just fits and hits the spot just like a glove.
Just like Jay Crowder.
That's right.
And he'll fit in well with our rotation there of guards. You got Chris Paul and Booker, who are going to be, controlling the actual ball. So he's not going to have to be a ball handler per se. He can just be that complementary piece, kind of in the same way that Seth Curry will for Philadelphia, but definitely. I guess more in like a defensive-based way.
Mm-hmm. And plus he's an asshole, and I think Chris Paul is going to love that.
Oh, you got to love it. And you got to have some assholes around Chris Paul. Somebody's got to stand up to him.
Yeah, it gives you, seriously though, I say that to be joking, but that stuff does matter when you get into those nut crunching games and clutch moments in the Chris Paul was, I think, the most efficient, prolific clutch scorer in the NBA last year. So that's definitely going to help.
Oh, absolutely. I think, that he's going to do wonders for that team. I mean, Ricky Rubio did, and Chris Paul is better in almost every facet of the game than Ricky Rubio. So I expect even more of that.
For sure.
I'll go with my second meal here if you're ready.
Yes.
I'm going a Z-Man and fries from Joe's KC.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. Before you tell the player, I don't know what that means, Nick. So if you could, for the ignorant Westerners out there, just kind of lay out what a Z-Man and fries means.
Okay, well, Z-Man is the signature sandwich of arguably KC's best barbecue restaurant. The restaurant itself is in a gas station, so it's very small, very quaint. The line is always wrapping around the building. But this sandwich itself is smoked brisket, smoked provolone with 2 onion rings on a Kaiser roll. And for the meat, like the half-pound sandwich and fries, it costs around $10. It's enough food to put you in a coma.
Yeah, that sounds like delicious, though.
It is heavenly. If you ever come to Kansas City with me, it will be the first place that we go when we leave the airport.
Okay, absolutely. All right, so then that said, that's good. Sorry, I just wanted to clear up the context first, and then who is the Z-Man and fries?
No, happy to talk about Joe's anytime. Fred Van Vliet is my Z-Man and fries. So really, this should be a V-Man and fries.
Oh, I like it.
He's a real bet on yourself type of guy, kind of like the Joe's KC story of they're starting in the gas station. He's a proven hometown guy. You're getting great value with that contract for the 4 for $84. When you're seeing Jeremy Grant getting a similar number, I think that Fred Van Vliet does a lot more for a team than Jeremy Grant does, as much as I love Jeremy Grant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a very team-friendly deal where his salary number is dropping for the 2021 free agency summer. He's actually just a $19.7 million cap hit.
I did notice that. So that's a savvy move.
It is. So I figured it's the hometown thing, Kansas City, my hometown, bet on yourself type of place, getting great value. And really, like I said, any excuse to talk about this sandwich. What do you think of that signing, though?
I think I this might be hot takey, Nick, but I think it's not going to end well. Now, it might be fine because I believe he got a player option on the end of that for that 4th year. So, but honestly, like this guy, is a very good player. I don't mean to talk down to Fred VanVleet. However, I don't know if he is the starting point guard or starting shooting guard on a championship level team, at least where Toronto is going. Now, maybe if Giannis goes there, I could get behind that. But
Right.
like, look at what the Pacers gave Malcolm Brogdon, and I don't think they're dissimilar players. I think Van Vliet's obviously a better shooter and creator, and Brogdon's probably a little bit better of a defender.
Yeah,
But
he's bigger in general too.
Right.
Just a bigger body out there.
There's just the level of these guys. He's not as young as you think, so it's not like you're giving a 23-year-old a 4-year contract. I think he's 26, something like that. I'll have to look that up. I'm sorry. But
Hey, no worries.
Yeah. Just to me, I can see this being a slight overpay in as little as 2 years. So after the first 2 years, they're like, oh man, this $21 million figure for Fred VanVleet. It's nice having him on your team, but I don't know if he would provide that level of value for your team in the win columns.
Maybe that's when you get the meat sweats from the sandwich. It
I
was
like, see,
so
that's
good.
That's good. It's great. Great. It's delicious going down. But
Yeah.
So
it
he's
might bite
26
you on the back end.
So he's not old, but this is, prime years Fred VanVleet. And
Definitely.
He's a smaller guy. It's not a guarantee he's going to be able to imprint his, mark on the game the way bigger guys can. So I don't know. I like him, though. I really do. I just feel like this might be fool's gold.
Oh, well, speaking of gold, wait till we talk about my meals later on, but I'll let you go here. What was your third pick?
Okay, so going next, I had to mix in a Laker here, you know me. So
Naturally.
there's been a lot of huffing and puffing about the Montrezl Harrell signing. So I describe Montrezl Harrell as a side of bacon, or adding bacon to any dish. And this is where I'm coming from with it. Okay. You might not, in theory, want to add bacon to every dish, like a delicious spaghetti and meatballs or something that might not accompany the bacon well. However, I'm not sure you would ever regret ordering a side of bacon with just about any meal and this could color your opinion on bacon. I'm a fan, a market fan, obviously.
Hard not to be. People who don't like bacon, you gotta look at them a little bit differently. You can't fully trust somebody who doesn't like bacon or can't appreciate the smell, at least,
Sure. So yeah, this is to me a move that the Lakers didn't need to make, but will be delicious and helpful nonetheless.
I think that's a great way of looking at it. I mean, the Lakers just won the championship and they got better during the off season here. So yeah, they added bacon to their meal for sure. Is he like a side of 2 strips of bacon, 4 strips?
Now that's to be determined. He's probably a 4 strips guy in the regular season, but he's probably like a 1 to 2 strips guy in the playoffs. I'm less convinced he will be impactful in the playoffs, at least against the upper tier teams. He could, just by overwhelming, 8 seed, 6 seed bench guys, be impactful in the first 2 rounds, but maybe not in the last 2.
Do you think he can provide what Dwight provided for you guys last season, or do you think he's big enough to do that?
No, he is not big enough to do that. He will provide something that the Lakers did not have last season at all in their bench lineups, or the Lakers basically ran 0 plays for JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard. So most of their points came, they would run a opening tip play for a lob for JaVale, but it was little stuff like that. There was no dumping the ball into the post and expecting a good shot. Whereas you could do that if you can get the ball out of both of those stars' hands and still have a decent shot at dumping the ball down to your 3rd, 4th best player and getting a bucket. So is it necessary? Probably not. Is it delicious? I think it will be. Quite exciting to see Montrezl Harrell get dump-offs from LeBron and just dunk all over benches.
Man, that will be exciting. Also, when him, Davis, and LeBron are in the game at the same time, that's a huge lineup. And while Montrez isn't a great outside shooter, he's great off the dribble. He can put it on the ground a couple times and make a move towards the basket. So you still have to like respect him even when he's on the perimeter. Does that make sense?
Definitely. And especially, so I actually don't think he will play with LeBron or AD very often. My expectation is that he plays with like AD coming into the start of fourth quarter, start of second quarters, with AD playing the 5 on defense and Harrell playing the 5 on offense. So that's kind of my expectation, is that he'll play a lot with AD and maybe a little with LeBron, but the spacing with LeBron isn't great. But he brings something that, like the pick and roll with Schroeder, it's another completely different element the Lakers just wouldn't have last year without adding a guy like this to the fold. But he's gonna hurt them on the defensive end of things, which is where
he's gonna hurt more than them. Watch out when Schroeder's on the defensive end.
Schroeder's fine. I think he'll be fine like in his role, but he can't be worse than regular season Rondo. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and he's just right below regular season Chris Paul.
Absolutely.
Watch your nuts, everybody.
Oh God. All right, with that, what's your next thing? I gotta say, when I saw this, I laughed out loud because yes.
Well, my pick here is another former Thunder player.
Technically,
yeah. I'm going with edible gold for the Warriors acquiring Kelly Oubre. This basically comes down to that $82 million tax penalty that they're going to have to pay to have him on the roster. And edible gold is just that thing that restaurants use to turn like a $200 steak into a $1,000 steak so they can put that they have a $1,000 steak on the menu, but it doesn't add anything to the food, and it might make it a little bit worse. And it's just way more concerned with how it looks than like the function that it provides for the meal. I couldn't think of anything more perfect to describe the Warriors acquiring Kelly Oubre.
I like the entire edible gold angle is just brilliant. So I got to credit you for that. And yeah, although criticize it all you want, there is something I deeply respect about the Warriors not caring about the money and putting it where it matters and trying to make the best team you possibly can. Because as we've seen, some of these other franchises have been hesitant to do that. Milwaukee. And now they've made their bed even messier when they could have just taken care of Malcolm Brogdon when he was up. And, then you're not trading away the farm for Drew Holiday.
Totally agree. Some of these franchises just put themselves in situations, and you can sometimes see it from a few years ahead. Like Detroit's going to be in trouble in a couple of years for what they're doing right now. Milwaukee's going to be in trouble. Washington is paying the price for, signing John Wall and their terrible deals. Charlotte was just about to crawl out of the hole that they dug, and they just dug a whole brand new one right next to it with Gordon Hayward.
Yep.
And so, you can't make mistakes like that because you're gonna pay down the road. And speaking of paying, the Warriors are going to pay a bunch of money.
It definitely makes them better. It makes them better.
You're right, but I don't think at the end of the day it makes them like advancing to the next round in the playoffs better. I don't think it affects the end of the season outcome. Yeah. But it just showed that they're trying, and I'm with you. Like, these millionaires pay up. Like, I have no sympathy for them paying for crazy numbers. It's the same idea with the steak. Like, if the restaurant can sell, $1,000 steak by putting that edible gold on it,
that's right.
Get it, restaurant. Hopefully the tips are awesome and the whole staff gets tipped out better because the gold steak got ordered.
Right. And they just came off this, dynastic run. As an owner, you could have been like, all right, well, that was nice. That was fun. Let's make money now. Or, maybe the Steph and Clay, like they're too old. Like, let's trade them away. They're building something long-term, and they're doing what the Lakers did back in the 80s and the 70s of dedicating their franchise to the best players on the team, putting those players in the position to make the most money that they possibly can, while also helping the Lakers make it's a partnership that really has forged the new NBA that we're looking at. And I think Golden State, by paying their guys, by spending money, I think this all speaks to the players, to what kind of organization and culture they're trying to build.
Totally.
And this will pay off dividends in the future.
I think you're totally right. Similar, yeah, to like the Kobe Bryant contract that he got towards the end of his career. I also did notice it could be the edible Golden State Warriors. I had the edible gold in Golden State. I didn't even think of that angle.
Nick, you're too good at this. Oh, I'm so glad we did the food analogies.
And then the other thing I have to say about Golden State while I have you here, I talked about when we were talking about the Oakland jerseys, how they basically created a curse for themselves by moving out of Oakland. And just a couple days after that, Klay out for the season again. Just absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, one of the best in the NBA. Like,
oh yeah,
just as a general fan, you love having Klay as a part of our game. But when I saw that, I was like, the curse of Oracle strikes again.
The Chase
I can't help
curse.
but think of it now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is really hard to see because, before KD went there and they kind of became the villains of the league, I feel like they were the Cinderella, lovey upstart of guys who, all got drafted by the team. They grew up together. Yeah. Kind of what OKC should have become all those years ago. And so I think, even as a Californian, I always rooted for them against LeBron, when LeBron was going against them. So, but then they got KD, and I get why people didn't root for them then. But even still, through all that, Klay is just, just the most just uplifting, positive, but serious and silly, but professional guy. And he has personality, but when it comes to business, he's gonna take care of what he can take care of. And yeah, it's a shame to see him out for the season, but I'm confident that he'll come back and still be a significantly impactful player because of the skills he has, the shooting that ages well, at least.
And if anybody can do it, it's Klay. He's a real warrior, for lack of a better term, and a really hard worker. What do you think, Buddy and Bagley for Klay right now? You're the Warriors. What do you say to the Kings?
I mean, I don't. Is this flat? Like, no, absolutely not.
All right. Well, I thought I'd try it.
Okay. No, I appreciate it. I like your yes. No.
Come on, Buddy will help you right now this season, and you get Bagley, another young big, and then Klay's off your books. You drop, a couple million on your tax.
No.
Okay.
Again, if you are the team who takes care of your dudes, that's a Boston move, Nic Jehle.
Wow. Well, I just want Klay to be a king. King Klay. What's your next meal?
All right. I thought long and hard about this one, and somebody said something recently that buffalo cauliflower is the sham of like, buffalo wings. They're the same price at restaurants, but everyone knows you're paying different prices and buffalo cauliflower is nice. I don't mind it. A nice little ranch on the side, cool it down. It's a nice vegan option when available, but buffalo cauliflower is not buffalo wings. Yet the Los Angeles Clippers seem to think that Marcus Morris is buffalo wings when I think he's buffalo cauliflower for like $16 million a year, something stupid like that.
It's crazy.
I don't get it.
Especially when he has literally an identical twin in the league getting like the minimum. That's got to tell you something, right?
So, I mean, first of all, it's been well reported that the Morris twins have a shared bank account. So
yeah, we all remember that Suns contract that they signed. That was like together. Yeah.
Thank you to Steve Ballmer for enabling Markieff Morris to take the minimum and stay with the Lakers, because I think that is maybe the Lakers' most important offseason move, because he unlocks so much of what they need to do in the playoffs. And he's an insurance policy for if Gasol or Harrell don't work out the way they want.
Just maybe don't have him making entry passes.
Yeah, or trying to guard Nikola Jokic. Jesus. But
it all worked out for you guys.
It did. Absolutely. And Markieff was a big part of it. I'm just saying, Markieff, I still think is maybe not quite as good as Marcus these days, but not in the value difference here. So to me, got Markeith Morris is the Buffalo wings, where Marcus Morris is the Buffalo cauliflower. Why am I paying more, maybe even, for the real thing? Like, the value difference is here with a literal like proxy.
Yeah, like an identical twin, played at the same university. They've even been on the same team sometimes. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I think that's an incredibly apt analogy there. And then also you found another way to talk more Lakers talk right before I'm about to talk about the Lakers. So this is like 3 Lakers conversations in a row. What are you doing here?
This is what you get.
I'm going a salad for lunch for Marc Gasol for the Lakers signing him. So hear me out. Okay. A salad for lunch isn't something that you get super excited about and like you don't immediately think of as a lunch option. Like when you're trying to think of lunch ideas, it's, at least for me, not first to mind. But salads can be delicious and you're always happy later on that you had a salad. And I mean, Mark is a gardener himself, so I'm sure he could appreciate a good salad. But there's nuance to a salad. It's the sum of its parts kind of dish, just like Gasol's game. He does a lot of little things really, really well. He makes quick decisions on the offensive end. He sets effective screens, not just like standing in the way, but he knows how timing and space work on a court. And he can vocally still quarterback a defense. He was like Defensive Player of the Year, All NBA, All Defense. His mind knows what should be done. So if he's at the back of your defense calling out the sets, that's a great situation for you to be in. He might not like score 1,000 points, during the season, but he's going to have all these little ingredients that in his game that are put together to be the salad for lunch that Marc Gasol is. What do you think?
I think you made a good impassioned argument for that. When I saw you put salad for lunch, I got a little offended. I'm not going to lie. Because I just take the salad for lunch as like, I don't know, taking your medicine. You like struggle through something. But I get it. Salad can be nice. I guess which specific salad I would like to know more. So you can, maybe put that to the side for now, come back to it. But I think what you described is accurate. And he offers the Lakers something that they haven't had, which is a guy who can make corner threes. And getting another guy to run the offense through in the high post where you can have AD ducking behind a screen, get in position, or, trying to get the offensive rebound when Mark shoots those little one-footed Dirk fadeaways. Or, KCP setting a split cut and cutting to the basket and getting a pass from Mark. He's going to give you so many easy opportunities that just aren't drawn up off a playbook necessarily and for the price, he's going to make less than what JaVale would have made if they didn't trade him. So absolutely, they ended up getting back Jordan Bell's contract and then they guaranteed Alfonso McKinney, which I didn't quite understand, to be honest with you, but they didn't have to give up too much in order to get Gasol. And they gave him that 2-year deal, which looks like, just retire after the season, but we'll waive you. So you basically get 2 years money for 1 year of play. So nice, savvy cap maneuvering by Rob Pelinka. And I'm sure that'll get shut down soon. So, I like the move though. Salad for lunch. You sold me a little bit. Maybe it's like a barbecue chicken salad that's not actually that healthy, but makes you feel good.
Whatever Gasol's salad is, it is a great salad. Because he's also a great locker room guy, so he can really, like a salad complement any entree. If you want to just have the salad on the side, that's an option.
Right. So, okay, I'm with it though. Like I like salad. I don't hate salad. I don't mean to sound like I do. It's just sometimes you just want a nice big hoagie or a slice of pizza or a cheeseburger, which might be bad for you later, but it's just delicious.
A little Gordon Hayward cheeseburger.
That's right. It's expensive, but you'll be satisfied, I think.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. Again, nothing against Shake Shack. It's just not the best and it's kind of expensive.
Absolutely.
But it's good.
along those lines, I'm trying to keep it on theme here where, okay, you could be proud of me again because I'm going to bring up back to the Lakers in the
Oh
Brandon
boy.
Ingram signing to
Oh
me,
no.
former Laker. I always believed Nick. I think we had conversations about Brandon Ingram before he made the leap.
I'm sure
So
we did.
I think you know that I wouldn't lie to you in the sense that I was a believer.
You have always believed. I can vouch for that.
Thank you. So Brandon Ingram got a max deal from the Pelicans at 5 for 158. And to me, he's the Japanese certified A5 Wagyu that you'd get from Wolfgang Puck's cut or
Oh my.
SW in the win. This is to me, Nick, and I don't know if you want to put something on this because I don't know where you stand on Brandon Ingram, but during the length of this contract, I would bet money he makes the All NBA team at least once.
Oh no way. We're betting a Wagyu steak dinner?
I mean, wait, okay, if I really believed, I would bet a Wagyu, but those prices, we're in a pandemic, my friend. Maybe we can. This is a 5-year plan, so maybe.
How about a Shake Shack burger?
No, I'll go Wagyu. We got to go to
Okay.
Vegas though.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But like
It's
a
on.
certified Japanese, like just got off the plane. Because I really see it, Nick. I do. He can play defense. He really lagged off it last year because I think he would just shot the ball so much, but he shot the ball so much better than he did with the Lakers. And he's always been a clever, shifty, like mid-high post player who can get to the rim. And now he's starting to be able to finish through contact and make and ones and hit pull-up threes. Like, to me, he is baby Kevin Durant and can become that soon. He's 23. So this is a young
He's
guy.
young. Yeah.
Like still developing his skills.
I was going to ask you, is this beef extremely lean beef?
No, it's got this good fat, but it's marbleized. Like the fat.
Well, maybe you can get some of that fat to Ingram.
Yeah, he needs it. He still needs a little junk in the trunk.
He does. But the skill is totally there, and the size is there. It is tough not to compare him to like Durant and Gervin, the other really like lanky scorers that we've seen.
Skillful.
Yeah. The reason I would argue against him making All NBA would be that Zion is his teammate, and I would
now,
if anybody were to make the team or make the All NBA team from the Pelicans, if the Pelicans were successful, I would expect that to be Zion. But maybe Ingram. Yeah, you're right. He could get traded, or maybe Zion just doesn't have as good of a season, and Ingram really carries them. Maybe a third team. I can see where you could make the argument. You should see if you could bet on that. I bet you could get pretty good odds.
I'd have to bet it like futures each year, and like combine those odds and see what you get over 5 years. But I might be like a little bit biased, but I'm a little worried about Zion and his long-term viability with his injury issues and his honestly lack of being in shape. He's played well in the league at spurts, but he hasn't done anything over an extended period of time to make you think this guy will be a dominant All NBA player. I guess the athleticism is amazing, but I don't know. I think I might be a little lower on Zion going into the season.
Interesting. Well, that's maybe something that we can kind of look at as the season progresses. It sounds like the Pelicans are going to be a team that we're going to focus on a little bit, where they have Zoe and Zion now, and they have Ingram, and now they also have Steve Adams, who I really like watching too. So maybe we can do like a Pelly pod somewhere during the season and kind of see where all those guys are at.
Oh man, I love the baby Lakers. I still got love for Lonzo and Josh Hart's whatever, honestly. But Ingram and Ball and I think Zion will still obviously do well, but I'm just worried about his physical deterioration, I guess, even for a young guy.
I'm excited for the Presti Griffin death match in 2022 for the first round of the NBA draft, where it's just them switching off picks.
Just going one-on-one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, bring us into your next one.
Yeah, this is my final one here. This is a Winstead's single with quote everything on it. The quotes are important because that's a specific way of ordering it at Winstead's, and a 50-50. So again, I'll explain Winstead's for you. Okay. Winstead's is a Casey staple, but its heyday was like years ago. It's like a 50s style diner with chrome accents and a jukebox.
Sounds familiar.
I love going there, and I'm still happy that I can go there, but it's just not quite as good as it used to be. And so for this meal, I'm going with Carmelo Anthony re-signing with the Blazers. I'm just happy he's in the league. I love Melo, and I love Winstead's. And so I'm happy that both are still existing in 2020, 2021.
I like that. So wait, what's the quotes everything mean then? Is that like a burger, lettuce, tomato, pickle, onion, etc.?
Ketchup, mustard, mayo.
Mustard, mayo. Okay. All right. So is Carmelo Anthony really going to play that much? I really don't think he will. He's not going to start.
No, but the Blazers are never healthy, so he's going to have period of time during the season where he's going to.
But they actually have wings now who could back up the non-healthy guy.
Very true, but there's going to be a lot of can't play due to COVID this season, where just random players are going to be out for 2 weeks. You're going to need to be able to go 12 deep this season, maybe more than other years. So I think we will see Melo more than maybe we would have if it were just a normal NBA season and he was entering his 18th year.
Sure.
But, I don't expect a whole lot from him. He did shoot 39% from three last year, 85% from the line. He averaged 15.5 points. It's not bad.
It's not, especially at the minimum. I think what you'd want from that spot is at least like, if he's not going to be playing a guaranteed 10 to 20 minutes a night, you might want a guy who, I don't know this about Melo, but like is a little more X's and O's, strategic. This guy's doing this to you. I'm seeing on the court. You got to attack like this. Maybe he is advising Dame and CJ and other guys like that, but it's never really been his MO or reported strength of being the guy who can affect the team without playing. Like I give credit to Jared Dudley for that on the Lakers last year, Rondo as well. Guys who their roles might be limited, but their impact is felt nonetheless. But to your point, he could shoot the ball. He's a 6'8" plus body, and depth is important there. And he felt like they gave him a shot and wanted to give them a chance of keeping him for a minimum, which is, again, that's good culture stuff. That's a sign of a good team and guys buying in that you really. I think Portland had the best offseason as far as going from middle tier to upper tier. That they're my favorite team that got better because they have always really missed those wing players. And Hood's injury hurt last year. They were still a guy short with him.
And Nurk's injury as well.
Nurk's injury too. And they got cancer.
And Collins was out.
Them. Yeah, they've been hurt, but eventually you got to get guys in there who aren't hurt.
Yeah.
And, seriously, eventually it's the guys at some point. And Covington's been hurt too, but what he can do on defense and stretch the floor gives you a lot of versatility. I like the Derek Jones signing. They retained Rodney Hood. They still have Gary Trent. My one concern is their backup point is Anthony Simons, who is a spark plug and is going to score, but they might need a little more offensive setting the table. If anything, Shabazz Napier should probably go back there because he played well for them a couple years ago.
For sure.
So I really like what Portland's done, and I would honestly put them maybe second or third in the West next year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm high on Portland.
Okay, that's a little teaser for our season preview megapod that we're going to do here in a few weeks. I would actually argue that the Lakers had the best offseason, but
I appreciate that.
I don't really.
I can't say that all the time. The Lakers are the best, so I have to give some other takes.
You got one more meal here. What do you got?
I do, and this is just kind of I wanted to open this up to you because this to me was one of the more interesting parts of the off season where I don't know if you saw, but an In-N-Out opened in Colorado. So
Okay.
In-N-Out, In-N-Out's
Lucky them.
yeah, good for them. They're famous cheeseburgers. They're great. They're the best intersection of price and deliciousness and quality.
Fresh food.
Yeah, it's great. But there are people waiting in 12-hour lines to get a cheeseburger from In-N-Out, which I don't know if I would do that for that Japanese Wagyu, my friend. And so the shadow over this entire offseason has been the Giannis Antetokounmpo Supermax extension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all these teams, it feels like to me, Nick, your Miamis, your Torontos, your Dallases, they're waiting in line trying to get a delicious cheeseburger. And while the theory is like, again, the product is good, you should want that, not different from Shake Shack. It's not overpriced, but it's the wait. It's what do you lose by the opportunities you do not seize by waiting for something that might not be viable. Right.
Yeah, you could get a lot done in that 12 hours.
Exactly.
And the odds are there's only one Giannis, and there's, a lot more teams with cap space than one team. So, yeah, and I don't know if Giannis is necessarily like worth all this fuss. And I mean that respectively. He's a two-time MVP. He's genuinely phenomenal to watch. But I don't know if he's like a franchise-changing player in the same way that like LeBron James is. Because like when you get LeBron James, you not only get the player on the court, but you also get the recruiter, and you get, all his buddies with representation, and he's going to be able to pitch you entertainment and all these other things that I don't think Giannis has that in his tool belt. So if you're a franchise acquiring him, you still have a lot of work to do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He's not going to come in and set the culture himself. You almost have to have it set before he comes into it. But maybe Giannis is going to flip over to a new leaf and even go to another new level. But for right now, that would be my reaction to the whole fiasco that is his free agency. People are treating it the same way that they treated LeBron's free agency in 10, but this is just not the same thing.
It's not. I think there's some similarities with young, early career LeBron and early career Giannis in the sense of like the teams that have been put around them maybe weren't the best, or they're not like big market teams. So they're kind of, nibbling around the fringes to get better. I just, again, like to your point, everyone except one of those teams is going to lose out. So, and these are good teams we're talking about. Like Miami re-signed Bam, and they didn't seem worried about taking up that space because they know they can, shift things around to make it happen.
That's for sure. And Bam's agent is Giannis's agent as well, right. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and I thought I had that right.
Like that's important. That is a factor. And Miami's always taking care of their guys. You got Udonis Haslem. He's been an assistant coach for 3 years now, and they gave him another contract to suit up in the uniform. And like, this is my thing with teams. Give him an assistant coach position. You got unlimited of those, and you can pay him whatever you want.
Absolutely.
And so maybe it's different when you're in the locker room, blah, 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 on the team playing. I don't know. I've seen teams do this over years, and it's just give him an assistant coach position. But
yeah, have him be a consultant. Whatever Dirk is for the Mavericks now, have him do that.
But this is where the logic falls, where sometimes people criticize the Lakers or the Heat or these other. They don't make sense in comparison to everyone else, but they're not everyone else. They're buying something else in the future.
The two teams you name, like, you mean the two teams that won half the championships in the last decade?
Yeah.
Those two teams? The things that they're doing? Yeah, other teams should do those things. I totally agree.
No, but you see what I mean, though, right? Like, people look at the one move and say, okay, you're an idiot for this 2 for $50 million to Kobe. And then you're like, wait, no, Kobe, took less, but Kobe put up with bad teams. And Kobe's Kobe. Yeah. Like, you pay him, he will bring you money. It's like you're buying future viability, I guess, credibility.
Absolutely.
With players.
I totally agree. I was making almost the sarcastic point that like people want to criticize these teams that are like consistently really good. And it's just like, just start doing what they're doing and quit criticizing them because they're successful. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I actually lied. I got one more meal here for you. I didn't put this on the doc.
Oh, nice.
Taco Bell bean burrito for Dwight Howard. While it's cheap, and of little risk, to your financial situation, that burrito could backfire in the form of a diarrhea firestorm.
I got to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, please.
I got it. We can make fun of Dwight or the miscommunication with the Lakers when he tweeted he was purple and gold, never gets old, and then deleted it and left for the Sixers. That seems to be a miscommunication either between Dwight and his agent or between the Lakers and Dwight's agent. That didn't seem to be his fault per se. And Nick, I just got to tell you, at no point during last season was Dwight Howard an issue in any way, shape, or form for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Because they have LeBron James.
Maybe.
Look at his track record. The only year where he had good behavior and good output on the court was his 1 year with you guys, with LeBron, with true leadership. Now he's going to Philadelphia. It's a dumpster fire there. They're trying to put things together, and Morey is now in control, but you still have a lot of personalities on that team with Doc and Embiid and Simmons. I mean, he's going to have his hands full. I don't hate Dwight, and I don't hate a Taco Bell bean burrito either. I'm just saying it can backfire, and we've all been in that situation. It's happened before. It could happen again.
I just got to defend the defending champion, Dwight Howard, a little bit.
Before I let you go, there's a few uniforms released between our last podcast and this one. Do you have any thoughts on any of them?
Yes, because we didn't spend enough time on uniforms. And these are, if people didn't know, we deeply care about these. And so, all right, we're just going to rattle these off, okay? So just before we recorded, we got a leak of the Cleveland, quote, long live rock jerseys, which to me, as Trey Kirby on Twitter said, looks like somebody sprawled it over a Trapper Keeper, which is somehow a theme in these jerseys this year. I think these are lazy and boring. Honestly, I don't know. They're not the worst thing I've ever seen.
Like a ransom note. You know what? I like them. A+ for effort. I gave Cleveland no credit. I said that they needed to chill out on uniforms. Scratch that take. They need to even go crazier. So, I don't know. Another black uniform too. You gotta love it. What about the Denver Reds?
I mean, the Denver Reds are just like, let's throw a filter on our old jersey, and they're nice jerseys though. Like, I can't really be mad. I think they look nice. The number placement, like the top left of the jersey, I think looks good. There's little designs kind of like the city up toward the shoulder too. I think Denver's usually got a pretty clean jersey setup, but
agreed.
It's kind of lazy still.
It is. It kind of looks like a copy paste from the Utah Red Rocks uniforms of the past 2 seasons. But speaking of Utah, they released what I'm calling like the sunset uniform. Kind of looks similar to the Valley Phoenix uniforms. What do you think of those?
I mean, they basically just recolored the gradient from their brown to yellow jerseys, which were a hit, and I'm a fan as well. I guess it's just like maybe it's mostly black, Nick. It's basically only like the shoulders and up where you get color, a little on the shorts, but again, feels lazy. Feels like you turned in your homework late at the last second, and they were just happy with it.
And genuinely, that could be the case. As late as we're getting this leak, and as short as this offseason is, they didn't have a lot of time, and they didn't know the schedule that they were going to be on necessarily. So we can't hold it against them. We'll be even harsher next offseason.
Yes.
We got confirmation with the Boston Banner uniforms.
Awful.
Yeah, we talked about like we were hoping that those were a joke. They are not. That is unfortunate, but leave it to Boston to have boring uniforms. And then the last one, the Memphis Isaac Hayes. What do you think of those? I thought those were dope.
So I really liked them. I mean, Memphis again continues to be I would say top 3 in the jersey game, in consistency, in uniqueness, in bringing back the right retro jerseys. And these are a shout out to the great Isaac Hayes from Memphis. And I gotta call this out because I loved it so much. I believe it was Chris Herring tweeted that it reminded him of the Legends of the Hidden Temple. With like the Aztec looking design.
Yeah, going down the side. Yeah.
I can't unsee it, and I still love it. So A+ for Memphis.
Agreed. All right. Well, man, I want to thank you for coming on the pod.
Of course.
Go ahead. What do you got? What do you got? What do you got to plug?
I got one surprise for you that I want you to open your Google Doc, and I will describe this to the listeners for context. Click on that black bar there, Nick, and you can see what I'm surprising you with. A friend sent this to me, and this is like my SVP's best thing I've seen all week, okay? Now, what this is the Korean Baseball League. Their, World Series quote-unquote champions were just crowned, and it's the KB Dinos, I believe is their team name. And their trophy ceremony is totally normal. They're waiting on the mound, and then they roll out the trophy, which is inexplicably like it is Excalibur-looking fucking sword. And so they lift the sword out like they're fucking King Arthur and hoist it to the skies like they just defeated the Swedes or something. And America, we need to do better with our trophies because, Nick, I had to surprise you with this. Any thoughts on the Excalibur trophy?
This is incredible. Oh, he's pulling it out right now. Everybody is cheering. Now he's bringing the sword in the center of him and holding it up. This is incredible. I mean, you know how they take the Stanley Cup around with them?
Right.
The winners in the NHL?
Yeah.
Imagine doing that with this sword.
And it's huge, right? It's like a fucking Gundam size.
It's as tall as him. Yeah, as tall as the player.
That's all I got. That was the best thing I saw this week for you.
No, this is... well, you just made my week, and you know what? For everybody out there, I will try to put a link to that in the show notes so you all can watch that as well. But, dude, thank you for coming on this pod. Go ahead, plug away. What do you got?
Oh no, as always, thank you. We're doing some streaming on Twitch, Tim and I, for the Lakers Exceptionalism pod. We're trying to go over some film of the new Laker guys, break down some of the data, just gives the pod like a visual element, which we've been kind of chasing for a few years. So yeah, follow us on twitch.tv/Lakers Exceptionalism pod, and hopefully we'll talk to you guys in the chat over there.
Oh, it was so good. I tuned in last Wednesday. We're better off without Bogdan take was incredible. I was like, I'm a huge Bogey fan. And by the end, I'm like, man, Tom's right. The Lakers are better. I'm like, wait, what did he just do to me? And then great box out technique talk.
Oh,
both
you got to
you and
throw
Cran
that
just
butt around.
You got to stick a body into him and make contact. It's all about the fundamentals. So you guys are great with blending fun and the numbers and talking about the game. Hopefully I can come on here between this episode and the next time you're coming on this. So look out for that, and I will tweet out when I'm going to be on with you guys. And then you got any movie recommendations for the listeners out there?
Oh, movie recs, man. You're catching me on the spot.
I didn't put that in your show notes.
No, I will say I've recently just downloaded the entire Queen's Gambit, and that is exceptional storytelling.
It is so good. I'm actually I'm bringing on my mom in a couple weeks to talk about that.
It feels like what curling up with a good book is. Like you just, I couldn't stop watching. I think I watched 6 episodes in a day and then watched the last one the next. Like, if you haven't, it's not overhyped. It's an amazing story. It is fiction. It's not based on a true story or anything. It doesn't make it any less good. I also used to be huge into chess, so I appreciate the attention to detail they put in making those chess moves feel real and not phony. So highly recommend.
And they do a great job about of explaining the game if you don't understand it. Because I'm not, a chess expert by any means. I understand the function of each piece, but it took me along for the ride, and I felt like at no point was I lost in what was happening on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, that's a great call. Okay. Well, dude, thank you so much.
Love
You're coming back in 3 weeks, the day before the season starts. We're going to be dropping a mega season preview with Tom and I. So be on the lookout for that. And then I will be coming on the Lakers Exceptionalism podcast before then. So I will talk to you then. Thanks, dude.
Thanks, man.
This episode is brought to you by Mammoth Cooler. Mammoth Cooler makes professional grade coolers, drinkware, and more. They are ready for anything from a day at the beach to an extended camping trip and everything in between. The Mammoth Ice Tusk is a stainless steel reusable beer chiller. It is the ultimate way to keep your long neck beer cold. Built with 18.8 kitchen grade stainless steel and insulated with high-tech thermal gel, it keeps your beer cold for up to 2+ hours on a single freeze. Here's how you use it. First, freeze the ice tusk for at least 45 minutes. Then, take a sip off the beer to make some room for it. Insert the tusk into the bottle and press firmly to create a tight seal, and then enjoy drinking that sweet ice-cold beer. All Mammoth products are backed by a lifetime warranty and shipped to the 48 continental United States. Visit www.mammothcooler.com. That's MAMMOTHCOOLER.com to order and use the offer code Begonia FM, all one word, at checkout to get 10% off your order. Make sure to use that code to let Mammoth know you came from us. We want to thank Mammoth for sponsoring this episode and all of Begonia FM. Okay, it is time for Nic's picks. As I mentioned there at the top, I went 2-0 last week. My turducken parlay got voided due to the NFL moving the Ravens-Steelers game, but I did hit on the other two picks. The Bills won by 10. They covered that 5.5 points against the Chargers. I did get a little bit worried when Josh Allen got his ankle wrapped up there, and then Matt Barkley came in for one down only to get smashed by Joey Bosa. But I did win the bet there. They covered. That was $9.09 on that one. The Dolphins covered the 7 points against the Jets easily. Fitzpatrick ended up being the quarterback there, and they don't look that much different to me on offense besides the right-hander versus left-hander thing. And I don't know how long Tua is going to be out, but I think the Dolphins looked good. Like, they didn't skip a beat. The defense looked good per usual. And I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing when Tua's thumb gets back to where he can throw a football, and we'll see who they pick. But it'll be interesting because they're definitely in the playoff hunt there. But that was a plus 100, so I won $10 there. Overall for the year, I am 3-2, and I'm up $17.79. So here are my picks for this week. First pick, since my turducken parlay got canceled, I figured I could have an extra $10 to bet this week, and it only seems fitting that I should bet that $10 on the Ravens and Steelers game. The Ravens have had 8 straight days of new COVID cases with 18 players testing positive. They're now playing Tuesday night, and the line moved from 3 to now the Steelers are giving 10 points. I mean, the Ravens are missing basically a third of their team, so that is to be expected. And I will say that I think this game will be close in the first half. I think the Ravens will have a lot of gadget plays and things that they'll pull out to keep it close. But as the game wears on, the Steelers are going to find a way to tire out the Ravens. And I think they're going to blow it wide open at some point there in the second half. So I'm going with the Steelers to cover the 10 points, which is minus 110. So $10 to win $9.10. Pick number 2. I wanted a parlay here where I felt like confident in all 3 picks. So here's what I came up with. The first game, Miami versus Cincy. Braden Allen didn't look awful, filling in there for Burrow, but it was against the Giants, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. And Fitzpatrick looked good running the offense for the Finns, so I feel good if it's him or Tua playing, but ultimately what this comes down to me is Flores is more important currently to the Dolphins than either QB, and obviously he's going to be healthy and at the helm coaching, so I'm going with Miami. They are giving 11, so I'm going with the money line on this one because I don't trust them to cover that 11, and that's a minus 560 on that. So for the first leg of the parlay, the second leg is Raiders versus Jets. I'm going to continue with my trend of betting against the Jets. I know the Raiders did get destroyed by the Falcons this week, but I think that will almost incentivize them to come back stronger this coming week and get everything right against the Jets. I mean, who's a better team to do that against? The Raiders are giving 7.5 here, but again, that just doesn't scare me. So I'm going with that as the second leg of the parlay at minus 110. And for the final leg, Broncos at Chiefs. The Chefs looked fantastic in the first half against the Bucs yesterday, and then they kind of took their foot off the gas. I kind of have this theory going this season, and we'll see how it plays out as the playoffs come, but I think that Andy Reid in the past has used a lot of his gadget plays early in the season, a lot of these spectacular things that he comes up with in the offseason, and so by the time the playoffs roll around, everybody's seen these looks and copied these looks. And I think he's saving some of those this season and putting them in his back pocket for when they really need them. So you see when they get up big on teams, they almost, turn it down to third gear and coast until the end of the game. And it's worked out for them, 10 out of 11 times so far. But with this game in particular, I mean, the Broncos, who knows who their quarterback is going to be? I don't think that matters very much. They are in bad shape either way. The Chiefs are giving 13.5 points, and that's a minus 110, but that's no problem for the Chiefs at the Broncos. I think they're going to easily cover that. And so if you parlay those three wagers together, you get a plus 330 parlay. So that's $10 to win 33. I got the Chiefs covering the 13.5 against the Broncos. I got the Raiders covering 7.5 against the Jets, and the Finns to win on the money line against Cincinnati. That's a winner for sure. Just mark that one down. For pick number 3, I'm going to the Rams versus the Cards. Both teams lost on Sunday, but so did every other team between 5th and 9th in the NFC, except for the Vikings, who squeaked out that weird game against Carolina. But both the Rams and the Cards need this game. It has huge playoff seeding implications and possibly playoff implications in general. The Rams are giving 2 points, which I don't fully understand, but maybe the betting market is favoring the Rams in this case. I don't trust Jared Goff. I live in LA, so I watch every Rams game because it's always on the television, but he is just very inconsistent, and you can see once they get down and he has to pass and teams can load up on that, it just doesn't work, and those play action fakes are not as effective. But I'm not complaining about the 2 points. I'll take them because I'm going with the Cards on this one. Cards plus 2, and that is a minus 110, so that's 10 to win $9.10. Fourth pick, Patriots versus Chargers. Chargers found another way to lose on Sunday versus the Bills. I talked about that game a little bit when I was talking about Josh Allen's ankle injury. The clock management by the Chargers in the last 2 minutes was inexcusable. I don't know if it was Herbert or Lynn's fault, but after that beautiful Hail Mary by Herbert, they don't spike the ball at the 40-second mark, and instead they run the ball, and they didn't even score on that run, and that's the game right there. You didn't give yourself an opportunity to win. It was really disappointing to watch. So with that being said, I think that this game is easy. The Pats always find a way to win in weird close games, and the Chargers always find a way to lose. The Pats are getting a point, but the money line is minus 103 for the Pats. So I'm just going with the Pats on the money line. $10 to win $9.80. Okay, recapping the picks real quick. First pick, I'm going with the Steelers covering 10 points over the Ravens on Tuesday. Pick number 2, 3-team parlay. Miami to win straight up against Cincy. The Raiders to cover 7.5 against the Jets. And the Chiefs to cover the 13.5 against the Broncos. Pick number 3, Rams versus Cards. I'm going with the Cards on this one. And the points, that's $10 to win $9.10. I'm getting 2 points there. And pick number 4, Patriots versus Chargers. I'm going with the Patriots on the money line. 10 to win $9.80. Those are all winners. Go, bet it, do it. You will not regret it. You'll be swimming in ones just like me. All right. Well, that is it for this week. If you want to say hello, you can do that by sending an email to hello@begonia.fm or tweet at me. My handle is @Nic Jehle. Thanks again to Tom Z for joining me, and thanks to Mammoth Coolers for sponsoring this episode. I will be back next week.